I'm repositioning the satellite as fast as I can. Oh, hi, I'm Daphne Brogdon. This is 24 Inside, a behind-the-scenes look at all things 24. Now let's reposition our view onto executive producer and director Jon Cassar. All right, Jon, so you've been very busy this season. What are some of the bigger scenes you directed this season?
Well, one of the ones that was fun for me, and it was a little strange because it was right after the Emmys, was the bus explosion.
Oh, that was right in the beginning in front of Disney Hall.
That's right, and it needed to be big and it needed to be important because it was the beginning of our season, and we basically, the Emmys were on a Sunday, and then Monday night, that exact next night, all night we were doing this big bus explosion. And again, exactly, Disney Hall, I wanted like an LA icon, that something like this could happen in a place like that. So Disney Hall was, nice enough to let us shoot around it and
wasn't that hard to get
street
permission?
Off. It's very difficult. It was incredibly difficult. But again, with our reputation, the more years we go, the easier it gets to do those kind of things. And what we wanted to do there was, again, make it feel like this can happen any day here in America, which to me is the scariest thing you could actually say to people, like what's happening over in Europe all the time. So if you watch the scene, it's not only about the bus exploding, it's how many people are around it. There are people walking across the street, there are cars driving by it. So there's a real sense that it happened with Americans around it and how dangerous it is. So we did that, and Stan Blackwell and the guys, our effects guys, again, just did an amazing job. The whole top of the bus peeled off, and it was just great. It was a really fun thing to do as the first day after we won all those Emmys. And even Kiefer came by to watch, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wasn't in the scenes, but he came by with a bunch of friends and watched it. So
he's still like,
yeah,
we
like,
won.
We're all kind of still happy.
That was actually pretty exciting because this is the first year you guys finally got your due, because people were always like, why hasn't Kiefer won? Why hasn't 24 won?
Well, it was really exciting. And look, it really is an honor just to be sort of, nominated and get to go every year, which is a lot of fun. But after the fifth year, you keep hearing other names. It was really sort of a pleasure to hear 24. And for me, more than anything else, the joy of my night was the fact that Kiefer won, because after 5 years being nominated, it would have been some kind of record, maybe him and Susan Lucci that don't win. But the fact that he won was my biggest joy that night.
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody was rooting for him. Oh, now, a beloved character, Chloe, has definitely changed this season. Was that was a conscious choice?
Yeah, it was a conscious choice by Joel. He really wanted to, and he does it every year. I mean, every year there's a sameness to the show, obviously, because it's a television show, but also we want to sort of push our characters forward as much as we can. And CTU becomes the biggest challenge, is to keep them moving forward and keep the relationships new and fresh. That's why we always bring new people into CTU. And so from, Mary Lynn playing Chloe, what we wanted to do with her, we always had her in sort of dowdy little outfits and her hair pinned up and her little sweaters. And we said, not this year. This year we're going to give her the ex-husband, give her that storyline. And so we kind of sexed her up a bit. And we made her hot. She's hot. I mean, Chloe's hot now. I think to all the computer geeks, she was always hot, but now she's hot to everybody.
The season is, it's always a challenge, you guys say, to make it fresh. Do you see something different for season 7?
Well, I think, every year, especially about this time of year, because, to us it's almost a yearly thing. We don't get much of a break. So we are now we're shooting actually right now the last 21 and 22, and we're just getting ready 23 and 24. So at the same time that we're doing that, we're also looking forward and thinking about, okay, how's 24 going to end? How's it going to feed into year 7? So talk has already started about what year 7 is. Kiefer's talking about it, Howard's talking about it, Joel's talking about it, I'm talking about it. So already starting to feed ideas in. And being different, I think, has been sort of paramount, the spearhead into what season 7 is going to be. So we're really looking to shake it up a little bit.
Okay, so if you want to shake it up, then maybe no limbs getting chopped off. Because Chase got his arm chopped, and we've got the Russian guy.
Yeah, trying to find something new for that final episode. We've been pretty good. I mean,
don't kill another president.
That's right. We can't kill a president. We can't chop anyone's limbs off. We can't have helicopters flying on top of each other. We can't have the bad guy holding on to Jack. I mean, it's all those things that we've done for so many years.
Yeah, do you have like a clipboard like?
Yeah, I can't do that one. No, but we always, I think there's always this, effort to make that final one, really special. And I think last year, to me, was one of my favorites because it wasn't just Jack shooting at the bad guy at the end. I mean, you had the great scene with Logan, which was a whole act of a show. Yeah. The whole interrogation of Logan and then the sting on Logan, which was wonderful. So I think it was all, it was a really great end. So we're fighting to get that.
And it ended so downbeat with him Jack going off to
That's right.
China and so
being
forth.
kidnapped, of course, is there's always a little lead into what happens the year after. People criticize us all the time for killing main characters and killing Edgar and killing all these people, but it's always about Jack. Somehow it's always going to connect back to Jack and what it means to him. And in this case, the killing of Roger, that killing was about bringing him back in the game. He was ready to quit. Or actually, it was the opposite. It made him quit, and the nuclear bomb brought him back in. So it's always got a reason to be there. It's not that we just don't like guys and we start killing them. It's always story. We always say we slave to the story. That's the most important thing.
The White House story, though, the White House bunker, that's been a lot going on that Jack doesn't have any input.
Well, that's our, I think Joel calls it upstairs, downstairs, like the old British series. It's always the two stories, and that's always a challenge on our show. And so even if next year we move away from the White House, what takes place of that story? Because you need the two stories to do what they do. Sometimes they interact, sometimes they're parallel, and sometimes they just go on their own. And I think the White House story has been actually really interesting this year. I think, again, it's very difficult to stay in the world of the White House and do moles and do wives that are a bit crazy or whatever it is. It's really tough to stay in that world and keep coming up with something new. But I think this year, the actors are really pushing it forward this year. With Powers Booth being absolutely amazing and Peter McNichol just is off the charts. He's so good. Yeah. So it really is fun to do, and then Jane Atkinson doing her part, from the year before. So I think that it's just been such a great ensemble in the White House. It's just fun to watch.
Well, what has been one of your favorite characters or storylines this season?
Well, I think the Peter McNichol character is, again, I got to give that to Joel. He has such a great sense of casting people like that. I mean, when you read the part, you don't think Peter McNichol. You're thinking just your standard sort of government-looking guy. And he said Peter, and I was a little, I'm not sure if Peter's going to work, but he's just such a great actor that, it doesn't matter what your perception of what that guy would be, what the chief of staff would be. The great actor comes in and makes it his own. Yeah,
he's not his Ally McBeal character.
He's and he's not his Numbers character, which is on the air at the same time. I mean, it's so different. So he just kind of came in and took it over and quirked it up and just made it just such a great character to watch. I can't stop. I mean, I just love watching him every week, whether I do the show or not. I really have fun watching him work.
Are we going to see any more of Chad Lowe and the Conspirators?
Yeah. Maybe Chad was behind it all. I mean, who knows? You'll never know. You got to watch those last two episodes.
Good to see him.
And he did, again, great work. Really, really good work for us. So, and everyone that comes to the show, the game steps up. And I think that's been the funnest part for me as a director, that I know I've got actors coming here and not going, it's just another guest role on a TV show. They come here with, okay, I'm going to make this character like something and try to survive. I mean, because we are a serialized show, people can come in, do one great episode, and find themselves still here by the end of 24. Right. So people do. There's that fight to sort of stay alive and make your character be something. And
do you think Ricky Schroeder, he's fit in well?
Ricky's done a really good job for us. I think by the end of 24, I think his name is still on the cast list. So
wow.
It's good to see. And then who knows about next year? We'll see.
Is it a challenge you find for the actors that come in to humanize the computer and the technical jargon that they've got to spew out?
It's tough. I mean, that's, they realize right away how hard that is, because you've got to do it in a way that has some kind of speed to it, because that's what makes it feel real and makes it feel like you understand it, and which of course no one does. I mean, Mary Lynn will admit it. She's just computer illiterate. I mean, she just has no idea. But again, there's a sense of the way she does it. She acts through it, that she knows what she's doing. So someone new, that's tough. That's the first thing they got to sort of get used to. And then from my end as a director, it's like, okay, now you've got to take that out of the way, and we got to find that other layer. Because it's not always just about the plot and spitting those lines up. There's always that second layer. That's look across that CTU floor at somebody that, you start the relationships. And that's the hardest thing, to try to get all those relationships working and meshing and interesting from the audience point of view.
Yeah. And the technical stuff, do the writers have like some little computer 14-year-old nerd next to them?
No, we don't. But we have one writer, Michael Losef, and that's, we know when he writes something that really doesn't exist but sounds like it does. And so he's our guy, and sometimes we'll even say, when we're just sort of, pitching ideas, we'll go, and then Losef will take over that and he'll come up with something. So,
good, yeah.
So Michael's the guy that's got all that jargon sort of down pat.
Well, thank you for helping us refresh the mainframe.
You're very welcome.
Now, Joseph, a big favorite last year, set-wise, was Logan's Retreat. So when we saw a little glimpse of Logan, we saw a little glimpse of the retreat. I thought we were going to see more, but...
No, that's all we built. We only built a little bit of this year.
Were you sorry to see it go?
Not really. Once it's built and we've shot it a couple of times, then that's it, I'm bored and move on.
Okay, now a big set you had to deal with this time is the bunker, the presidential bunker. What was your thinking, or what direction did you get for that?
Well, originally it was supposed to be set a bunker underneath the United Nations. But the script changed and they moved it back to Washington. And then because we started much later than usual, so like the retreat I think we built in 6 to 8 weeks. We started 2 weeks later this time. So rather than changing the design, and again, I've always been against the sort of the audience seeing places that they know, like the Oval Office. So this year, finally, we did build the Oval Office. So again, it was more of a reaction to design something very cool in relationship to the Oval Office. As you enter the bunker, you've got the big double doors, and you've got a bit of the old foundations, a bit where Lennox was kept hostage.
Yeah.
That's actually the entrance to the bunker. We used that set again. I put some pipes in there.
Okay.
I made it the room that he locked it. And I would love to have done the whole thing like that, but with the time and money we had to do it, it was impossible. So
you would have liked to have done the whole thing in what?
In crumbling brick and really
I see.
sort of damp and sort of damp and smelly, but...
well, the president should be in a nice bunker.
Yeah, but how often do they use the bunker?
Well, one of the cool things with 24 is that it has that sort of little bit future, but then just grounded in this very real suburban LA. And I was interested in Martha Logan's home. Is that something that you...
No, again, it was just, we found a location. It was sort of holiday homes, I think, in a sort of summer camp for kids. And the little hostels there. So we shot the exterior there, but everything else was built on stage. And it's very plain. There's actually no design to it, I don't think. It's just a very plain, boring old room where she sort of has been resigned to. But then Claudia came in with the flowery, sofas and things, and that's really all you see. You don't see the sort of staleness or the sterile environment that she's been put in.
But if she's institutionalized, then that's it.
That was the main reason, just to make it sort of... very sterile.
Yeah. What's one of the sets you've most enjoyed, or you've gotten the most satisfaction out of?
Again, it's like the retreat, the bunker this year. The major set at the beginning of the year. But also is the helicopter falling off the roof was fun. Because I think the script originally called for a helicopter to be lying in the middle of the street. And we'd shot downtown by LAX, where they've moved all these people out of these homes. And they're basically knocking them down. And I think we've knocked 3 of them down and blown up a couple. We keep going back down there.
Right.
So when the helicopter came up in the street, we suggested that as we are able to put it up on a building, let's put it up on the building, and then when Jack rescues the guy, we can just have it falling off. And so that was fine. I mean, it would have been a day's work if we just put it in the street. But it took us about 5 days to lift it up onto the roof, cut a little bit more of roof out, set it down there. And
one of the things that I love is the sort of indictment with Graham Bauer with his goofy McMansion. There he is. He's sort of this evil, weapons, seller and everything. And then, so was that on purpose to put him in that kind of big nouveau riche thing?
Yeah, it's a sort of just, again, necessity. It literally is shot about 10 minutes away from the studio, from our stage. And we just went to find some nice... Actually, it was a nice house, lovely family that owned it. Lovely smell of Indian food. Reminded me of my best friend growing up in England. Mrs. Burley used to cook lovely Indian food. So every time we went to visit. But they had a lovely house and they were beautiful people. And I just thought it suited him.
So you had to do a lot of little terrorist holding places. Were you getting like, oh my God, where else can I put these terrorists in?
No, we've pretty much given up. We sort of, okay, there's another warehouse or, I don't know, we've tried a few different things this year. I can't.
There were some little houses. There was sort of like a house in Inglewood. And
Again, all those houses are because of the place down by LAX. I mean, literally, they have cleared 8 blocks of just by LAX. I think they were going to make it into a security area.
Really?
You'd go there before you went to the airport. So they've moved all these people, so we've got all these empty houses. So when we had the helicopter attack on one of the houses, we actually blew up the roof, but then 2 blocks away, I actually was able to, because the guy let me sit in the big machine, crush this house. And it was like playing on a real full-size PlayStation.
And then there was the, we were at the Santa Monica Pier. Were you actually at the pier?
Yeah,
We
were there. It was, again, locations like that are very difficult to shoot. you can only take the equipment down there one truck at a time. So it's very slow.
Yeah.
But if we can, use it, like we did the Disney Hall in the opening episode, something iconic in Los Angeles, then we can.
But that's what I always like about how it is juxtaposed with, like, this track home in the valley or something, because then that's what helps the audience go, it really could be going on right down the street from you. Or,
right.
But
then we throw in sort of, a typical, like the CTU or the bunker. It's like, it's not, obviously we haven't based it on anything, but it still feels real. And it's entertaining, hopefully.
Yeah. And then the last one I was thinking about was we've just seen Audrey. Where was that then? That looked like a very kind of a vast, big,
was
open
she sitting on a
space?
chair just being...
Yes.
Again, that's just a warehouse.
Yeah.
Our new location that we're using a lot is this empty building 2 blocks away called it used to be the LA Times building.
Oh.
So it was where Logan was interrogated by Jack last year. They had these huge blue machines. It's 3 stories, and now all of that space has been emptied. It's just an empty warehouse, and there's lots of other different spaces. We're doing where the terrorists get into the sewers and come up into CTU. The whole where they go into the sewers is there. Then we've built all the sewers on stage, and then they come up out into CTU. Is
there something that you haven't been able to do that you would like to do in terms of sets for 24th?
No, I always, the only thing is, I never wanted to build the Oval Office. Designers always want to build the Oval Office, and to me, it's there. There's nothing creative about it.
It's too iconic.
And the audience, like I say, when we saw the president before in a retreat, it was never anything that the audience recognizes the president, apart from Air Force One. And even that we tweaked a bit. So this year this year we built the Oval Office, we rented a set. By the time we spent the money putting it up and making it shootable, we shot it for 8 episodes, and then they went down into the bunker, and then we struck the set, or we gave it back. And then, of course, after a number of episodes, they came back up to the Oval Office. So I built it actually from scratch, and it just cost us the same if we had just built it from scratch rather than renting it. And so this year, actually, instead of building it once, I actually had to build it twice. Oh.
So you didn't want to build it at all, and
I didn't
want to
build it at all, and now this year we built it twice.
That's always the way with the Oval Office. Joseph, thank you so much for talking to us.
My pleasure.